Dear participants, now we are moving to the last session. Our speaker is Dr. Mageshwari. Is a professional marketer with significant experience in leading corporate marketing and internal communications for multi-million dollar companies across diverse industries for several years before she chooses to enter the academia. She is experienced in academic and consultancy research from the development of the new ideas to problem solving, conceptual and content development with a competitive advantage. She has a proven ability in leading record high marketing campaign response rates and had executed successful product launches. She has over a decade lecturing experience mainly in the areas of tourism, innovation, digital economy, and marketing. Dr. Mageshwari had obtained interdisciplinary degrees in communication, tourism development, and tourism planning, sustainable tourism development, and conducted research for her PhD in revisit intention of European tourists to visit Malaysia, focused on holistic image of Malaysia from psychological aspects of European tourist and environmental equality with experience in mediating efforts. Presently, her research interests focus on tourism marketing, holistic well-being, healthy aging, and small-scale sports event tourism. She is a certified trainer for global e-commerce talent from Alibaba Business School. Currently, she is pursuing her master's in postgraduate certificate in academic practice from Lancaster University. She actively participates in international academic events as workshop trainer, keynote speaker, session chair, and moderator. She is an active member of the Southeast Asia Research Academy. Besides academics, she is active in contributing to society through her participation in karate sports and secretary of Budo Karate Association, WFE Kuala Lumpur, and University Saints Malaysia, India graduates as secretary. We are very glad to have you, ma'am. The session is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Everyone can see my slide and can hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm the last presenter for today. I won't say I won't take much time. It's more about my journey of doing this research. And this is like something very common to all of us who already obtained our PhD, how to generate research idea and research problem. But my sharing going to focus on the depth of it, and I really hope that some of this is going to be a learning for those still, in early career research or doing a PhD or master's or still in the studentship. So I thank, first of all, Dr. Ganeshan for giving me this opportunity from Lavender Literary Club India, and also to Prof. Bala, and all the organizers. Thank you very much. So with that, I would like to start my sharing on generating research idea and research problem. The key references for me to share this sharing with you comes from these main three articles. So later I'll be sharing this article with you. So the gist of reading these three articles give me the insight to what I'm going to share with you. So the content for today's sharing will first focus on the research ideas and problem, sources, type of gap spotting, what is there beyond gap spotting, and what is that one thing called problem statement in research. And I will, not to say assignment, I'll give some examples to you to share today. So all of you here today, do you think so research is easy? Is this research easy?
Definitely no, ma'am.
Definitely not. Yeah, up to now, I got my PhD in 2018. Research is the most difficult thing as an academia, but this is the more fun, more easy to do, or more connective to our passion if we know the method and process to do it correctly. And we'll be blessed if we have quite good co-authors, or we engage with students or other researchers that have same passion with us. So to achieve the process, there are some elements that we need to follow. So we're going to share about understanding what is that called research problem. So research problem all about putting up the puzzles. The puzzle is here and there. First of all, identifying the problem and just randomly see what could be the solution. Now putting all the solution together, but through a proper methodology. So for that, research problem are the educational issue. Why you find it difficult? Because it's something that we need to educate people about that particular issue, which times do create controversies or concerns that can be a guiding the need of conducting a study. Let me tell you one example, my recent example that happened 1.5 years ago. I involved in a research grant with Lancaster University as a principal researcher on IBD. IBD stands for inflammatory bowel disease. Many of my colleague looking at me, Magesh, why you are taking this topic? It's nothing to do with us. It's very medical. Yeah, true. But I'm looking at this topic from a sustainable value, whereby if someone have inflammatory bowel disease, they will face a lot of problem to even do a easy task in their daily routine. Could you imagine someone that working in corporate, academia, or doing their own business, having this inflammatory bowel disease, how much it could affect them, create concerns, and this is one of the issue we need to address, because currently in Malaysia, the bowel disease syndrome, it's growing among children. When I'm giving them why this problem is that crucial, and immediately we need to take some steps to bring the awareness, then my colleagues understand. So it's all about explaining what is the problem and what it could direct us to, what the impact it can create if we never take any strategy via academia to solve the issue. So this is my understanding. And my understanding parallel with what is shared by the Creswell 2015. Next, when reading a journal article, all of us, obviously we have read a lot of journal articles throughout our journey, but what we need to look, particularly in the journal article, is opening paragraph and critically ask you this question. What was the issue? Is it a problem? Is it a controversy that a researcher wanted to address? Question number one. Second, the controversy leads to a need for the study. Does it create any need, immediate need? We must do the study at this point of time to address the issue. So you need to understand and address this question. Answer that. Third question, what was the concern being addressed behind this study? What was the story, reason, cause of the problem? This is what we want to find out. And this one thing, it's not that easy to just find out just through research. A lot of things that we need to do here. So end of this session, I will share with you how I go and find about this. Last one, is there a sentence like the problem addressed in this study is? Can you simply say this is the problem? Even today morning, I had a meeting with my co-author to write a proposal grant for FRGS. FRGS is one of the important grant in Malaysia, where every lecturer wants that give them an impact of a very good researcher. I never talked to her about research framework. I never talked to her about anything about the research. I just asked her a question. Hey, how important is well-being for someone? And she was answering that question. Then I asked a question. How much well-being affected to those their sleep and food intake disturbed because of work? She was silent for a while. She was unable to answer. She was thinking. I did help her. I say, like, imagine about doctors, nurses, enforcement officers. They need to work on shift basis. How much food intake and sleep would affect them? Let's say they're working for 10 to 15 years in the same career. She was silent for a while. Then Without me telling her this is the problem, she is persuaded by the problem statement. So for half an hour of the discussion, we just talk about the problem statement, just the problem, what we want to answer through this research. And she was convinced. So the importance of answering these 4 questions to your own self as a researcher, according to Creswell 2015, is the fundamental for you, first of all, understand the real problem statement of the study. Next, where could be the sources to find the research problem? Every one of us, during our starting period, we have done this thing. We always go back to another journal. Okay, because we believe that existing literature will guide us for future literature review, meta-analysis, literature metrics, and it will give the future direction. But apart that, throughout my experience, I've seen it's much more easier to understand and identify the problem via discussing the problem with our supervisor, colleagues, events, gurus in that particular area. This is far more important, as what Prof. Bala said just now. Please attend conference. I totally agree with him. Even though no matter which level are you in your career path as an academia, please attend conference. It could be any conference of your interest. Please attend. That is the sources for you to see and put as an evidence, this is the current research problem. Then it can come from newspaper report statistic. This is the social consent. Even like be active in reading things that popping up in social media as well. That could generate a research problem for you. Number 4 could be workplace, family, and social network, and your own personal experience. Same goes to me. I'm a tourism scholar in sustainable tourism development and tourism planning. How come I ended up in well-being? How come well-being become one of my research area? Because that is something, a topic that very close to my heart. At one point of time when I'm submitting my PhD, I was overweight. I was 70 kg. All that I wanted to do is come back to my healthy physique. So I adopted to martial arts, practicing karate. So I saw that that created a balance between my mental health, my emotion, and my physical health. So that is my own experience. Then I identify well-being also something that we can do research from the sustainability element. I connect back to my learning. Then I bring it as a research area of my own interest. Also can happen. Last one, you can always engage with practitioners, stakeholders by reading reports. Just now, Prof. Bala was sharing that he come up with this report, which is equivalent to that much of Scopus journals. Agree. Every time your country come up with a report, your particular industry come up with a report, please be the first person to even purchase or go and ask for that report for free copies. Go and read, because reports are the sources that quiet premier for you to get the data. It could be a working paper, or you can generate data from the managers from the particular industry. Like in a tourism aspect, we always approach the managers, the directors, the decision makers to get their insight before we conclude this could be the actual problem. And these things most of the time works from the business and also from marketing perspective. And accept this literature, existing literature, all these 4 areas of getting a research problem is much more easier, my friends. Trust me. Next, this is something that all of us do, but unsure how we are doing this all the while, including myself. I do research metrics even for my PhD, but I just stopped at maybe number 8. 1 to number 8. I have the author, journal, year, country, journal, objective of the study, variables of all the journals, then theory. I never put the industry context. I never put the method. I never put the population, sample size, statistical technique, instrument that used, what is the result and what is the future recommendation. So my humble request, if you're doing a literature metrics, just go for the extra mile. Take all this 15. Even number 16 can be the framework of the research. I'm doing this after I completed PhD and after I started to supervise my master's student, my undergrad students, and my PhD students. So this is my learning curve. So please do the literature matrix completely, even for your own self, or when you're teaching to your student, you're supervising a student, a candidate, please ask them to do it in full, because this one thing can give you direction, can help you to be more organized in tracking the research problem accurately. Okay. Next, other ways that you can assess whether you should do a research problem or not. So this is the 5 things that I would like to share with you. Any questions? Okay, first, fill the gaps in the existing literature review. Now, after you identify this, any questions? Oh, unmute yourself. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so right after you identify, this is my research problem, always fill a gap in the existing literature. So you need to see, in my industry, if someone done a similar research. If yes, what could be the problem, what they identify, what are the sources, go and find out more and more information about this. Second, replicate the past study. You can do that, no issue, but always examines different participant and different research site. Go for different respondents. Example, let's say that, I done my PhD in finding out about the European revisit intention. So all my tourist respondents comes from Europe. So this time onwards, maybe after COVID, if I want to replicate back the study, I'm more interested to see about my neighboring region who is interested to come to Malaysia after COVID is over. Not to say over, after the borders are reopened. So this how we replicate with the different respondent and different research sites. So these help in the long run to create a pattern, systematic literature review in your own area. This is where you can become a stronger person in particular research area, where you are the one who creating the roadmap to become excellent researcher in your own area. So this would obviously help you to bring up your citations in Google's. Third one, you could also extend the past research of examining the topic more thoroughly. You are particularly interested with this particular author and you're following up with all the research work that the particular author is doing. So you can study particularly one thing on that and you can make the research more impactful. Example, this happens to me. I had an opportunity, a great opportunity in 2020, just before COVID in January, to meet the great scholar Parasuram Sukwel. I met him. I had all the blessings to, ask him a lot of questions and I did ask him about, before that I did read his recent research, and then I asked him about this eSQL. Yeah, I've done SQL. There's so much of research have been done that. So he was giving me some hint how we can go on emotional digital marketing on that eSQL. So this is where I started to study more thoroughly, taking that eSQL component with something new from my country, which is on grocery. Interest of Malaysian to buy grocery through online. So extend the past research is very important. Then give voice to people silent, not heard or rejected in the society. This is very important. During COVID, many people focused on tourism. Tourism industry almost death. I started to focus on this one particular vulnerable group on tourist guide. They were just vanished. Even now, to get them back to come to the business, it is challenging. So also focused on vulnerable groups in your research, in the area that you choose. Never ever neglect them. So these would bring the sustainability to the ecosystem of your research in giving the impact to all the stakeholders that involve in your research. Last one, you need to inform the practice. What are the current practice? Earlier we listened to the ethics. which is very important. How are you focusing and following the ethics of the research? And how are you engaging your collaborator from different countries, from different regions? Example, during COVID, I had this opportunity to be a part of Southeast Southeast Asia, Singapore, Cambodia, Philippines, Thailand. Anyone, I can talk to them about this problem, Indonesia, and they will give their input. So this is how we inform our practice. This is what current research that I'm doing. How about you? What is happening in your country? So that could be a collaboration past country. It can be a collaboration between regions now. So the richness of the data is very vast, and these create a huge potential for publication in a reputable journals in future. Now, I would like to bring your attention to gap spotting. Gap spotting, always something that neglected, create the confusion, or researchers are still find it difficult when it comes to the application. But combination of gap spotting should come from all these three, which is neglect, confusion, and application. According to Sundberg, in 2011, Sundberg and Alvisen, they mentioned you need to see what is neglected, you need to see what is confused in the gap spotting, and what apply beyond that to create the combination. So never ever always take something that only neglected. Oh, I want to focus on this, or something that confusing. Bring all three together and you can combine and create your own research gap spotting. So literature, research, gap. This is where you can create the combinations. Okay. Now, I would like to explain more about gap. Why gap is fundamental in research, especially in chapter 2, because while a gap might exist, it does not logically follow that filling the gap. It's not just like there is an empty underlined thing and you just want to fill in the blank. Gap is not about that. Gap is an important contribution. Why? It may exist precisely because the issue is uninteresting or obvious. Example, let's take India. Obesity is not that uninteresting and obvious, but in Malaysia, this is one thing that we always wanted to address. So the marketing discipline is not very old. So more gap exists than before even the articles are published. So on this point, Barry Babin observed the fact that no researcher attested this before, never ever come up with this word, because does not logically justify the need for such a test. Research is not what we are doing a test and we want to prove the results. No, it's about finding the gap does exist or not always obvious. Why? The filling of the gap is important. And according to him, Ledick, 28, he said that it's an author's responsibility to tell what is the gap. So if our reading is not that depth, not enough, it's very struggling, it's very uneasy, it's very unhappy journey to venture into that particular research topic. So go for that gap identification and see how your gap can contribute for the impact of the research. That solves a lot of problem. So these can be done even during the research problem identification. Then coming to research problem. So research problem can come in various ways. Number one, straight replications always happen, but it's no longer a trend, something that people want to follow right now. So take consideration of this. Second, replications and extension. You replicate the study, but you extend some with maybe a novelty of variables, adding moderator, mediator, anything. So you extend the framework. Also can be done. Third, extension of a new theory, method in a new area. So you can do this as well. But this is more challenging when you want to come up with a theory. So I would suggest more like go with the theory that haven't tested in your industry, but have tested in some other industry. That makes the research work more contributing on the building the research body for the literature review. Fourth, be more integrative in review. Go for the meta-analysis. In case the research area that you chose have less meta-analysis, why don't you start with that first? Systematic meta-analysis is something that you can also publish, so it doesn't go wasted. So you can do that with the help of other students in case you're supervising any research work. Then go for develop a new theory to explain a old phenomenon, compete one theory against another. So you can take an example of classic theory testing, like the example that I shared with you about Prof. Parasuraman, the sequel theory. According to him, stop doing that. He have mentioned this 20 years back in 20 years back himself, when he said like so much of research have done that. Start to focus on something new. So some theories that has been established and still used until now, try to go for some new theories or extend the theory from the classic search of that particular theory. And identification of a new phenomenon. COVID was a new phenomenon and everyone was doing a research about COVID. So now it's about post-COVID. So this could be a contribution in a long-term run. Let's say that should 15 years or 20 years from now, there is another virus come in. So people have a reference because of the new phenomenon research has been done previously based on the COVID cases. Okay. Seventh, develop a grand synthesis, integrations. These integrations happens between the real life, solving the real life problem using a proper theory from an academical methodology. So this is what we call as a grand synthesis, where the knowledge, the wisdom that we have can help to solve real life problem. And this is something really interesting, especially in business. All the theory that we have right now in business, it's a part of academia contributions. Last one, develop a new theory that predicts a new phenomenon. So can be an example of a theory of relativity, using a Likert scales, those kind of things. So all this is the contributions, okay? Now, beyond gap spotting, you have listened to me about gap spotting. So I'm bringing you to understand what could be furthermore from gap spotting. Yeah, I know about gap spotting. It's not that difficult. I've done this many times. How you critically confront your idea, your research that was inside your mind. You want to bring it and put it on a paper. So how you critically put the idea to get the attention of that particular group that is impacted with the problem. So that is the critical confrontation. Second one, you can come up with new ideas. Example, virtual tourism, drone technology, AI, implications of AR in certain industries. All this is new ideas, and it comes from the innovations. So keep reading about report about trends can happen 20-30 years after this in your particular industry. So that would give you some new ideas. I always tell to my students, beside research, I am also teaching subjects like product innovation, development and commercialization, digital economy, and digital marketing. I tell to my student, at one point of time, human won't use smartphones. The effect that smartphone have give to us as a human, we will stop using it and there will be a replacement device called drone. Everyone will start to use that. Let's see, is it going to happen or not? Maybe somewhere 2050, okay, everyone will have that. Okay, and my estimations like it will come more earlier than that. So new ideas creation. So we can write research articles, research journals about these particular new ideas for innovation. And this is very interesting. And last one, beyond gap spotting also can focus on problemizations. When everyone looking at something as a problem, we academias can come with the solution for the problem. So this is what we see beyond gap spotting. Next, as I told you during my introduction just now, the whole research identification for problems, it's a process. The process starts with you. Are you interested with the problem? If yes, you will go for the second area of the process, which is identify and a problem. So you need to tell what is the problem. What is the specific problem that you want to solve? This is one thing that my professor used to teach. My supervisor used to teach me. Magesh, you can't solve all the problem in the world. True. I agree. I can't solve all the problems in the world. I can solve a specific problem related to my research area by taking a fundamental one question about that research problem. This is what I learned from him. So only one problem, what could be the solution? You no need to have 5, 10, 15 variables. Just one variable, one IV, one DV, one mediator or moderator, you can identify a problem. Depends. So this is the identify the problem specifically. Third, the process would cover on preliminary discussion. As I told you, even before you jump into literature review, why don't you go and discuss the particular problem with the industry, with the expert of that particular topic? Trust me, friends and other researchers, nowadays it's much more easy to engage or connect to the gurus of that particular research area because the help of the internet, Zoom, just mention it. We have all the tools, and I thank COVID for that. It made the process more vast and easier. We can connect, we can send emails, we can contact them. There are several ways to reach them. So preliminary discussion will help you in find out a lot of things. Especially just do a focus group interview from that particular stakeholder to identify what is the problem they are facing. Then only you need to focus on literature review. This is to give justification and evidence of the process has been done before or not. Then you revise back what the sharing from the industry happened, from the respondent or potential respondent, and what is happening in academia. Is there any gap? Now, that particular gap would give you the problem statement. This is the correct procedure process to identify a problem statement. It's not in an overnight coming up with problem statement or taking any other problem statement from other literature review. The process does not happen like that. It should comes from you, within you. That's why supervisors won't suggest any thesis title to their student. It's supposed to come from the student. This is the process. Okay? And I hope you will agree with this. Next, according to Cornell 2000, he said that for writing a good problem statement is far from effortless. I ask you the question, right? Is it research is easy? Rather, it's a complex activity related to preparing a logical argument. Let's say we are arguing. We need to put evidence. We need to put logical thinking pattern when you're arguing, right? It works in the same process and methodology. As a journal editor, I have noted that while individual reviewers focus on different parts of the manuscript depending on their interest and expertise, one area in which all tend to agree is whether or not the author made a case of existence of the problem first. Does the problem first of all exist? Identify these first, yes or no. Then, even the most comprehensive literature review is complex, sophisticated method and data analysis is not rated highly if reviewers ascertain that there was a problem established in the first place. Dear scholars, this is my own experience. Back in 2010, I started my ground studies in medical tourism. That is my interest. Deep in my heart, I wanted to do my PhD in medical tourism. Almost 1 year, I do the literature review. I prepare all the requirement thing. I prepare my first 3 chapters. I'm going for proposal defense. During proposal defense, that time in 2011, I'm not that strong to defend my topic because the only question that the panel asks is, you are not a medical student, why you want to do this topic? And I'm a tourism scholar, I'm a social scientist, okay? That create a huge impact on me. And this sharing by coroner impacted that as well. You see, that time in 2016, medical tourism is just started to bloom. According even to my supervisor, he looked thoroughly my work. He even agreed for me to go for proposal defense. But this is what happened. So I see that according to them, the literature is not enough for me to support until PhD. And now, if you're asking me the question, I can easily defend this. When there is a limitation in academia research, this is when you need to do research. And trust me, I'm unable to answer that one question on preparing the logical argument. So your problem statement must be that solid, where you need to defend it because it's your area. So collect the comprehensive literature review. If you are saying the literature review is not enough, that is the time you immediately need to take up the research, because that is the gap. Okay, so this is another way of identifying a research problem. Now, from research problem, how to convert it become statement of problem? Many people still find it struggle for this. So from topic, you need to introduce your topic, then share about what is the research problem all about and what is this one concern and issue about that particular problem. Then provide the justification for that problem based on all your research gaps. So research gaps, as I told you, can come from many sources. So you can refer back what I shared just now, and you can have that. Then aim for the study where you need to achieve the overall aim. You need to have specific aim of the study, overall what you want to achieve to find a solution for that particular research question that you put up in your research. Last one, never ever neglects your audience. You got all your data from your respondents, right? So you draw your literatures and policies based on that. So give that back to them. How could you advise academia to have impact on this? How could you advise stakeholder to have impact on this? How could you advise private sector or government to change their policy, to do some amendment in the policy based on that? Example, like what Prof. Bala is doing right now. All the while, he was doing research on, he was impacting on creating the minimum wages for Malaysians. Now he particularly looking at one segment, which is graduates' minimum wages. So the policy would be only changed according to observation and research if the particular research have been done from 5 years to 10 years, sometimes even can go maximum to 15 years. So for a policy in any country to take changes, it takes a lot of time. This is where we academias are contributing. So focus on your audience, relate your findings with them, how your particular findings going to help them and give the impact positively. Then principles, proportions. So this is to state what is generally accepted out of your research. So you can put that, the aim, the proportions. Interacting proportions, you can focus on what we know that contradicting or challenges that proposition and justification that need to look at what we know, where it can create the new directions or perspective from these particular propositions. Previously, before COVID, no one have thought that we will carry sanitizer with us, mask. We all see that as an alien just used in hospital by particular practitioners of medical industry. But it became a must at one point of time. I still remember after I gave birth and my kids are babies that time, after I mop my floor, I will put sanitizers and mop again. My mother and my siblings used to tease me. This is smelling like a hospital. Why are you putting sanitizer on the floor? But during COVID, everyone did that. every home have death on, right? So this is the propositions that we are creating. So it's give the new perspective. And again, according to Guba and Clark, back in 1967 itself, they said this personal experience can give you the proposition. Last one would be a speculative proposition. You can speculate this could be happen in future. This is why we have the time series data, those kind of thing, which give you a direction of the inquiry. Even in tourism, this is no longer a practice now, because after COVID, the whole system has been changed now. It's no longer something that those days when we want to predict the tourist arrival. Let's say I want to predict arrivals for 2030, year 2030. I take all the data from 2010 to 2020, 2020 to 2030. I predict the 20 years as time series. Then I can have the data, what could be predicted for 2030. But COVID also bring a huge impact. There is no longer prediction, because the whole emotion, attachment, economic has been disturbed, shaken. So we are starting with brand new data. So this is the direction of the inquiry. So speculations of what could happen in 2040, tourism in Malaysia, tourism in India. What could be the preference for a tourist? Could be a statement of a problem. Now, whatever that I share with you just now, up to now, I would like to put in a process of sequence. First start with the topic statement, then consequences of that. Then only you can identify a problem and give a justification for that, which will end up giving you the literature gaps. Then you aim for what you would like to achieve through your study. So the aim can be one general and many specific aims. Last one, theory is not optional. So you can have some new recent theories that will be helpful, or some theories that implemented in other industry and you are implementing in your industry. So that could create the novelty. And never ever forget to relate your audience to that particular research problem statement. Example I'm sharing with you here. Let's say the skill gap may leave an estimated of 2.4 million position unfilled between 2018 to 2028. This is data telling us, and this data is from Deloitte Insight, something that we can trust. Okay, now we are seeing that, oh, this is a gap. It may leave 2.4 million position unfilled 2018 to 2022, 2018 to 2028. Okay, what could be the reason? We want to find out more. So you can take this data and study more on the social aspect. Then you come another problem, again related to social. The suicide among youth and youth adults, according to the pediatricians should know, is young men consists of 17.9 and young women is 5.4. Why the suicide rates among young men are very high, where the teen suicide rates differ by gender? So we can do a calculation of this and find out more on based on which country. Okay, because this data is from US youth. Is it applicable in all the countries? So we can come up with this data. This is how I ended up in doing the research for finding the difference, two tales between two continents. What is happening in UK for inflammatory bowel disease and what is happening in Malaysia for inflammatory bowel disease. So this is very practical. Other example, technology industry battles against highest attrition rate in the world and it is costly. So we have the list of the highest turnover rates. First from technology and last one is healthcare. And technology and retail costing about 13%. It's very high. And also media and entertainment. So what could be the reason? All that we can see how technology has impacted all this industry. So we can take and study about that. Next, employees are engaged, not engaged, actively disengaged. So this is the data shows 53% of your employees are not engaged with whatever job that they're doing. So this the majority, meaning half of your employees are not engaged in the activity they're supposed to be engaged in the workplace. What could be the reason? What creating the disengagement? You can study about that. All this, something that I learned where I wished I know when I was a student of PhD. So identifying where your interest really lies is very important, especially for early career researchers. Push internal, have the purpose of internal push. It's supposed to come from your inner self and keep your driving seat always with you. Be the leader in leading your own research. Apply grant, become the principal researcher. Please don't think I'm no one. Who am I looking at someone higher than you? Never ever do this comparison and bring down your own self. Never ever do that. Always say that as a learn and unlearn and learn the new things and move forward. Always move forward. And don't promise too much. Do whatever you can because health comes first. Always believe in this and act accordingly. Never ever promise too much. Deliver whatever you can. And collaboration is the key for this. And skills development. Like I'm a tourism scholar. Later part, I joined in a business school. So I started to observe and see what could be something skill that my other colleagues don't have, other researchers don't have, where that can be giving me something different to do some research. So I developed my skill also along the way, where I take up the PGCAP from Lancaster University. Also, I expose myself to Alibaba Business School to study digital marketing, which gave me the input lot of how digital marketing was done back in China through a lot of example. Then I come up with my own research interests in that areas. So this is how you can develop your skills. Put yourself and learn. Never ever stop learning. So through this sharing, I would like to recommend these 3 readings: constructing the research problem, identifying the research problem, ways of constructing research questions, gap spotting, or problemization. Whatever that I share with you all comes from these 3 articles. Okay, most of it except my personal sharing. Now, my story. This is something very hot from the oven. You can see it's accepted on 28 December and now it got published. This is my article on robotic life in casino employees exploring well-being dimensions in the gambling industry in Malaysia. I'm the 3rd author. I'm the data collector. All 4 of us write together. Now, Camelia is my colleague and she's from different schools. She's from hospitality school. One day we were just talking about what we could do. We never specifically talking about research, but we're looking at what could be the one problem. Now, she just recently joined in business school of Queen Margaret University in UK. Previously, she's from Sunway University, from hospitality, different department. This is how we collaborate, you see. I was telling to her, hey, look, Amelia, food and sleep is something very fundamental for a human. But people who are working in casino industry, they are not following this. We started the discussion like that. And you know who inspired me to do this research? It's Vishwanath Venkatesh. It's a distinguished professor. I know all of you here knows about him. And what is kind of impact he has given. He said when he become the researcher, before he become someone big in research right now, he also started the discussion with his own colleagues like this during a lunchtime. They were observing the food that everyone taking based on culture. This is what embarked the research idea within him. Same goes to me. The research idea was embarked while looking at my husband who is working in casino industry. What kind of, health issues that he's facing, lifestyle issue that he's facing by neglecting the health on food and sleep. Then we look into this, we worked from there, come up with a qualitative. I'm a quantitative person. Again, I put myself out of comfort zone. I did qualitative research. So I interview about 25 people from gambling industry in Malaysia, and we gather all the data and come up with this paper. So this is my own story. If I can do this, you also can do. And it's the What is that? The Journal from Equality, Diversity and Inclusion from Emerald Publishing. Okay, so you also can do, no worries. And it's from my own life. See, I never go and dig literature review before I come up with this problem statement. It's through my observation, it's through my own personal experience, I come up with the problem, and the next I'm giving the solution for this problem. So what could corporate do about this? What could employer do about this to bring the lifestyle balancing element? So my principle in career, research, family, everything, I always ask this question. So what? Don't panic. God is within you. So trust this one thing. Maybe you can take as a take-home message. If you're struggling with research anything, ask this question. So what? I will find the answer. And always think about that. And you will end up, finding the research resources for you to come up with the idea and solve the problem. So all the very best to all of you. And if you would like to engage with me, these are my particulars, and you can gather my particulars and then contact me in future for any collaboration or any questions. I truly welcome that with my little sharing, little knowledge. And thank you for all of you for your attention and time. It's very precious to me for me to share little that I know through my experience to all of you. Thank you very much.
Please, participants, if you have any questions, you can ask to our speaker.
Ma'am, there is one question.
Yes, please.
For a proposal, how many literature review you have to submit? Like, for first proposal, that now I'm in the process of PhD.
Mm-hmm.
So, how many literature review that you have to review? Like, I have reviewed 100 of it, but given 35 for first proposal, first step proposal.
Okay.
RSC.
This answer should come from here. Hold on. Very good question. Okay. Always even my own student ask how many papers do I need to read? Okay. The answer is not like that. All the paper that you read, are you having a literature matrix? Okay. And that literature matrix, trust me, your inner self will ask you to stop. Enough reading. I think I already found the problem.
I think so. Like, you have stated, like, you are a quantitative person, but
Yes.
if the research is on qualitative data, then the thing like how many research paper you have to read, and how you are going to put it into one frame is my question.
Actually, no need to read research papers. Trust me. Trust me the process. Trust me with the process. You know what? You can easily do that. You just need to connect back to what I share with you. Just give me a sec to answer your question. Remember I told you this one. Stop doing the number one. Why don't you explore on these four first? Go and meet the academia. Ask them. I want to do research in this. What do you think? Where I need to focus. Don't ask a general question. Ask specific question, especially when it's academia. This is my current research area. I can see a gap here. Do you mind to share more about this? Then they'll be interested to discuss with you. Or you can say that I've read these two articles. Ensure when you're reading the article, you have read the article from page 1 to the conclusion and have your points. Two articles enough for you to bring for the discussion. Then focus also on the report, statistic, and newspaper articles related to that issue. Okay, and you can always discuss with the industry. Only industry people know the exact problem, my dear. Okay, so you can focus on this thing. After you've done all this four, process, then you go back to existing literature to confirm whether that particular area, the particular question has been researched before. Now you no need to read 100. Trust me, 10, 15 is good enough if your article is solid.
Okay, so you're saying like simple to complex and complex to simple.
Correct. Then you do your literature matrix, but this time you collect all the 15 things. Don't limit your literature matrix. It's just an Excel sheet, right? Go and just create it. Okay, then you know when you need to stop, and you can draw your research framework, and you can know the objective of the study. Once your problem statement is confirmed with the gap spotting, that's done. I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, it's a best one. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
so
very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Others, any question?
Hello, Dr. Mahesh.
Yes, Dr. Garrison.
Okay, very good night. Now it's around 10:45.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, Dr. Mahesh, congratulations for your topic,
No worries.
generating a research idea and research problem. So I was very much interested in the gap just now, right? When you are talking about, of course, what is that? Okay, literature review is very important in any research, right? From the beginning until to the end, when you're finding the gap and so on. So just now you were telling about there is no enough literature review, all right? So that is the gap. When there is not enough literature review, that is the gap you can find and to do the research in the future. I like it. Of course, it's true, right?
Yes.
It's very true, because when there is not much literature review, meaning that not much research is done in that area, in that particular area. So that is the area that we need to explore, right? Is it correct?
Very true.
Is it correct?
Yes, very true. This is what I learned from a very hard, own experience, where my own research topic got rejected. They said like, no enough topic, no enough literature review. How come we can do? But that time I'm not these, I have this clarity to defend that. So exactly this is what I need to do. And no one can say you cannot do research because you're not from that background. It's all about bringing our wisdom, knowledge, and connecting the points, how it can be related. Like well-being. How can I can publish it, right? Article on well-being, more related to corporate, right? Human resource. How I approach the problem. That is very important. How we approach. Yes.
Yeah, true. I agree with that, because to find the gap is another problem. So to get the literature review is very huge, actually. So when there is not enough literature review, that is the process. That is the place where we can see the gap and do the research on that particular field. That, like you are telling on, what is that? Well-being. Okay, well-being. Yes. And then you were talking about medical tourism just now. It is something very new in Malaysia. In fact, I do agree with that. But now I think medical tourism is given very much emphasized by our government, right? So that is the field that you said many people might be wondering how to do the research on medical tourism. If you are not from the medical background and so on, as you said, doesn't matter whatever background you are, as a researcher, you can explore, right? You can explore to new areas which can contribute to the knowledge and also to the country and so on, like what Prof. Bala was telling just now. Make sure there is an impact. Just now you're talking about well-being lifestyle of casino workers. It's something very new, actually. How they are working in the casino without sleep and so on. And they have to be very concerned about their health. That is the research we have done. Is very good, actually, because of course there is a gap we can see where people don't do. Okay, people don't do, so we try to explore. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Mahesh, for your wonderful topic just now. I think most of the participants, especially the students who are here, postgraduate students especially,
Okay.
And
Garrison?
Yes, Prof. Bala.
I'm sorry that Dr. Mahesh, how are you?
I'm good, Prof. Bala. How are you?
In between, I have BYC top management
I
team just
see.
now.
Okay.
The Bursa Young Investor Club. So I'm not only busy with the professorship, I also helping the student. So just now I talk to students, all of you must get a job before I graduate lah. So they're very happy. All right. So okay. My question is this, because when come to literature review, people misunderstand. Literature review actually starts from the chapter 1 until the last chapter. I think that's a literature review. A lot of people misunderstand. They think only chapter 2 the review. Actually, chapter 2 only. So my question is like to ask you, which one comes first, theory comes first or concept comes first when you write the chapter 2? Okay.
I put in my slide just now, theory is not optional.
So that is the question, because many
Yeah.
people think that yes, theory is very important at the doctoral level.
Yes.
But what is the role of conceptual framework and theoretical framework and research framework? A lot of confusion happened. So and another question. Okay, the first one, Doctor, clarify to me. The
Yes,
other
yes.
question I want to ask you, when you do qualitative, many people don't know how to do qualitative, but they claim to be qualitative. They think like, doing interview, document or qualitative. Actually, no. Qualitative is something very high level. So I want to ask a question. Qualitative need tentative model or no need, or what? That was another problem, because the different part of school different. So you
Yes.
clarify on this. And my third question is, sorry, Doctor,
No worries.
why a lot of supervisors ask students to really do that without student have to go through the thorough study on that particular topic, and they have found something. They come back to supervisor. Supervisor, look, I already done this. I found that I want to do this topic, but I want to use first qualitative approach because there's no study done in Malaysia, for example, or in this particular sector. So that I want to inquire compared to so how you going to deal with that? And you are actually a quantitative person, all right? But a student come to you, Dr. Pages, you are quantitative, you are your mind, you are positivism, you cannot change. A student come back to you, no, doctor, see, I want to do this. Then you said, you change supervisor. Are you to say like that? Or you want to? Because I'm so examined many PhD theses on quantitative. Actually, so far I examine majority is a quantitative. So that's why I know A to Z. What is a quantitative method? PLS lah, this lah, that lah. I don't know lah, whatever lah. But anyway, I know that. But I'm expert on qualitative. People know about me. So okay, doctor, I think 3 questions you can answer within 3 minutes.
One by one.
Magesh is also my mentee, Dr. Ganesan. I
Yeah.
3 years ago, and I pushed her to apply job, and now she's doing quite well lah. I think so lah. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, first question first. Theory comes very later part. You see the slide that I shared to you. It comes with a topic statement. Is it creating the consequences? Is it giving you the problem? Are you giving a justification for your problem? To take all your time, resources to do a research on that, to identify what is the gap and create the aim of the study, what you would like to achieve, what is the motivation of the study. Then only theory can come into the picture. Theory, it's more on a paradigm. Which perspective are you looking that at? So that's why I make it like very simple. Since that if you want novelty, you go for some theories from other industry and try to implement. That makes balance. Second thing, even Albert Einstein, he come up with that E mc squared 2 after he completed the studies. So theory comes late back. Also, it's like a policy of a country is changing because of so many years of academia research has been done. So it takes longer time. So you want to complete your thesis within 3, 4, 5 years. You don't focus so much on your theory. Focus on the process before that. And what is the impact of your research? This is more practical and this is the reality. Because like take hair, it come up with the theory of what is this? Implementing process. Previously in SPSS, there is no process. I did to study the mediator. It took him a PhD. It took him to do a PhD to come up with that particular solution. And now we have PLS. So it takes longer here. And I'm talking about a real research, how it happens. So theory always comes later part. Don't worry so much of the theory. And this is something that we can take from any other industry or any other discipline as well. Majority of whatever the theory business is applying come from psychology. Okay. So the second question, if I got it right, how I engage with my students to approach the right topic, right, Prof. Bala? That is the question, right? If
Yeah.
with the problem, okay. Now, whenever student coming up with the problem, every normal supervisor will ask them why student also ended up to go to do what is that literature review. They always ended up doing literature review, because you never read, you can't write. So the whole idea to go and read literature review to see whether your interest is not there or not. You see, your interest must be there. So that is the idea. Your research problem, is it connected to your interest? That's why your supervisor asked to read the literature review. But as I told you, you can omit this thing at first phase. Go and identify these 4 things, especially on the blue thing, personal experience and interest. If this match, all other things will fall in place. When you have interest about certain topic, obviously you will go and read. No one need to push you. Am I right? Any postgraduates, correct or not? I'm asking you to read articles about repurchase intention. You won't read if you don't have interest. That's what your supervisor is testing on you. So if you know this is the exact research I want to do, the very first thing is to identify the problem. Then someone asking me the question, I've read 100 articles. Trust me, I know you can't read 100 articles. Even you completed your PhD also, it's a big question whether you completely read all the 100 articles. But you can do literature metrics, not 100, 150 or 200 articles also. Can. You can glance through, not read. This is the fundamental truth. Everyone in this room, I know you agree with me, right? And the third question is about qualitative and quantitative argument. So, thank you very much to those who are saying definitely. Okay, so the third question is on qualitative and quantitative arguments. Yeah, many people say if you have quantitative data, it's easy to publish. But trends are changing, dear scholars, trends are changing. If you go with mixed method with qualitative and quantitative, chances are more bigger for you to get published, those kind of things. And you have no idea about what is qualitative. Just come up with 2 questions to ask to your respondent related to your topic. You let your respondent talk and you record the interview. Later on, you do transcript. You want to find out what is the issue, you interview 10 to 15 people like this. Somewhere 7 or 8 people are keep on repeating something same. You need to stop. You already find the answer. Just extra 2 or 3 to confirm that. That's it. Your data is ready with your transcript. So you can start with the preliminary study with 2 questions or maximum 4. But the rule is let your respondent to talk. I hope I answered the question, Prof, from the qualitative view.
Oh, yeah. Because I think quantitative and qualitative, the paradigm is totally different. One is the left, one is right, but they can merge together also can.
Okay.
So today the world actually merging together. They are cannot be do one method to answer one question and one problem. So maybe multiple problems. We need to solve the problems at the moment. The society more complex, everything more complex. So to me, I propose for the future. Future methodological will become under merging both, because science and non-science also merging now and impact any. So when you merge this one, then the problem will be a different problem, different method But eventually you go answer certain issues. So I think there are different objectives, but the student must understand. The student or the lecturers here, most lecturers, you must understand like what Dr. Magesh said, ontology, epistemology, and methodology. These 3 very important. Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
No
You're
worries.
enjoying, huh?
Thank
When
you
we
for
have
your
I
questions.
just want to ask
coffee.
one more question,
Yes,
possible, time permits.
yes, yes, please.
Yeah, doctor, whenever we are just choosing a topic, a title, okay, we try to express our ideas, views, and based on some problems, we have a title. But when we have sum up with n number of literature reviews, the options and all, when it comes to macro level, how to micro that particular topic and which thing we should focus and frame in order to just focus and get rigid to the topic.
Good question. But again, I answered this just now. Gap spotting. That is the answer. So if you're keen to find out this particular research that I want to do, that is good enough already. That is a very valid question. Now you don't know in this topic what you want to study. Example, I identify I want to study about repurchase intention. Very good. Now I want to study this in tourism context. Repurchase intention in a tourism context means the tourists need to come and revisit the place. Got the gap spotting. Third, who is the tourist? Malaysia's top revenue contributors, medium contributors, or less contributors? My very first question in Viva, the panel asked me, Magesh, the top contributors for tourism revenue in Malaysia come from Indonesia neighboring country. Why you took UK? I say a valid question. Thank you for the question. Even though the top revenue coming from neighboring country, look at the amount they are spending. Look at the number of the night they are spending. But again, look at this UK people from European continent, when they're coming and staying here in Malaysia, they're staying for a longer period. They're spending more. They are the one who are going to Sipadan, where one snorkeling session, they need to spend 1,500 to 2,000. But your Indonesian and Singaporean are spending equivalent. That answered the question. This is what we mean by gap spotting. So for gap spotting, you must be very, very specific. That's why you need this industrial help in the very first stage itself. You must read a lot of reports related to your industry to find is your gap is spotted or not. In any news article, minister's speech in addressing current issue, all this will give you an input. Thank you for that question. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Look,
Thank you,
good
Dr.
afternoon from Ghana. My name is Ibrahim Haruna. I'm a medical practitioner from Ghana.
Okay.
I am very excited about your presentation,
Thank you very much.
for the fact that I'm also from a medical background. Yeah, so I have some couple of questions to engage you. My first question is, what gap spotting were identified in Malaysia that triggered medical tourism in recent times?
Okay, very good question. But the paradigm has been changed now, especially after COVID. It's like we are starting with zero medical tourism. Let's say I'm giving you one reality example. Let's say a tourist from Ghana want to do eye surgery, let's say cataract in Malaysia. Now, with this COVID implementation, extra fees, tendency to get quarantined if you got caught in between, and the lack of help because many travel agencies are not taking medical tourists. Many hospitals are giving priority to the internal citizens. The policy has been reworked, or haven't come up with any SOP. So this is the gap spotting. So the data would be brand new now.
All right, thank you very much. The second question is, what is the
Yes.
Malaysian government allocation of resources to medical tourism?
This one you can find the data in. Do you mind to send me an email? I will share the resources to you. There is particular one association, NGO is working on this, and also from the help of the government. So they have a body to give all the data information for medical tourism. So this is the government trusted, body to give you the information. So please email to me. I shared my email just now. I can't put in the chat box. I'm not sure why. So here is my detail. Excuse me, sorry. This is my details. You can contact me. You can see my email and my phone numbers and all this thing. So you can contact
Yeah,
me to
not yet.
WhatsApp or email.
Not
That would
yet.
be better. You can. I'm sharing right now.
Not yet.
Not
Okay.
yet. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Just give me a sec.
All right.
Okay. How about now?
Not yet.
Hold on.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can see. Yes, ma'am.
You can see, right? Okay, because
Yeah,
it's saying stop sharing to me, so by that can see. So someone please share this information to Hanuna, right? His name?
Haruna Ibrahim.
Yeah, please share.
Yeah, I can't see it. I can't
Oh,
see it.
I don't know how to help you. Maybe Dr. Ganeshan, you can share
No.
these details.
Screenshot can be taken.
Can.
Screenshot.
Yeah, go ahead. You just take photo.
May I ask one question?
Yes, please.
Even the Malaysian government measure the well-being on the basis of life expectancy, mortality rate, as well as the standard of living and the education attainment rate. Is it the same index that Malaysian country measure well-being?
Major well-being. I couldn't get that last.
Your research is on well-being, no?
Yeah, well-being. Yes, correct.
So what are the index that Malaysian countries measure well-being on which rate, or what are the indexes?
You mean variables that they take into consideration?
Yes, correct.
Still weak. Not everyone, because there is a vast difference between government and private sector. Coming to private sector, it differs from the industry.
So what are the basic index or the variables where Malaysian industry are Malaysian country
working 5 days and 2 days off, but it's differ. If let's say I'm working in enforcement, I won't get the 2 days off on Saturday, Sunday. I don't have the luxury. I need to go to work.
Okay.
I'll have my off days on Wednesday and Thursday, but my children won't be around.
Okay.
So is that fulfilling the balance of family life?
Like in India, we used to measure well-being index on standard of life or plus infant mortality rate, education attainment rate.
Yes.
There are the different variables.
But again, all this need to be revisited, you know. Is it still relevant and impactful after COVID? If yes, why there is so much of mental health issues are happening?
So this is a gap spotting.
Yes,
correct?
this is the gap spotting, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
when during MCO, all of us family members stay at one home, but everyone feel happy like any other home. There is a question to answer, right? So what we were doing all the while we want to be at home. So now you're given time to be at home and work, but everyone happy about that? Emotionally, are they stable? How many abuse happens because of words and pressure on the person, like the lady who also work and also need to do the house chores? So all need to be revisited right now, I would say. So all that before COVID put aside, let's look into the new data.
Okay, so now you're talking about time series plus
Yes,
gap spotting.
correct, exactly. So that is the gap spotting. Thank you, Sayali. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Doc, I
Dr.
have a-
Rajesh.
Hello, ma'am.
I have-
Maheshwari, ma'am, for
I have another
informative talk.
question to ask you.
I think 2 persons are speaking at the same time. Maybe 1 person can go first.
Yeah. I have a last question to ask you. last question.
Haruna, right?
Ibrahim, that's
Yeah.
Ibrahim from Ghana. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Haruna.
Mom, look, Doc, looking at your experience in tourism research, what parameters are the driving forces in tourism that every country that intends to boost tourism should consider to reach the expected milestone?
Branding, destination image. Branding and image. This is the fundamental parameters. Would you go to Syria right now? Will you go to Syria right now? I'm sponsoring your ticket. Haruna,
I
would
go
you
through?
go? You will go
Yes,
to
I'll go.
Syria? You
Yes,
will go
please.
with the,
Yes.
all this, what is that? The war happening and all this thing. Would you go? Branding and image. The image that we are portraying.
No.
Uh,
Yeah. If there is war, and I would have to take my time before going.
you won't take your family. You are putting some limitation there, right? This is why, because the image is
please.
not safe. So the image of a country is the attraction factor to get a tourist to visit your country. If you're asking me what is the main variables, this is what I would say. Other than that, there is a lot of things: infrastructure, man-made, natural attractions. Particularly, I want to go to Poland because of the tulip flowers. That is a natural attraction. Those kind of things. So main things definitely because of the image and branding.
All right. Doc, I have not gotten your contact yet. I
You have
would
a lot
love
of
to really
questions.
have
Why
it.
don't you just email to me and connect me? Is that
Sir,
okay,
I have
Haruna?
shared to your
Yes.
WhatsApp.
Dr. Makis, I
Yes.
think Dr. Frank already shared to Haruna your contact.
Oh,
You can check,
okay. Thank you,
please
Dr.
tell
Frank.
already.
All right.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
prefer email. Email, just put all your questions, then I will try my level best to answer.
All right. Thank you very much.
No worries. Yeah. I think Yadav would be the last person to ask question. Yadav? Horilal Yadav? I saw
Madam,
your
can I-
raised hand.
No, it was a previous hand raise. Thank you.
Oh,
It
thank
was
you.
nice session.
No worries. Okay, maybe last question,
Madam,
please. Can. Last question.
madam, yeah, madam, can I clarify some little?
Can. Last question.
Madam, that there is no doubt that you have given an excellent job today,
Thank you.
because lot of questions coming. That is the quantity of question is coming. That quantity itself is telling that presentation is very excellent. No need to tell.
Thank you.
So thank you, ma'am. So I just want to tell that I am an assistant professor here in India in Tamil Nadu Fisheries University. So
Interesting.
I observed that whenever I ask students to find out some literature, so they I don't know what they are doing. Within 2 to 3 days, they would do some work and come to reply me that, sir, there is very less literature review in this field. So I don't know. It is a new topic or don't know. It's whatever topic they are selecting is a new innovative topic, or I don't know. But they are telling maximum students, most of the students are telling that there is a very few literature in this field, sir. So just fix my topic, sir. Okay. So
I'm
what I
all
observed
good.
that,
Yeah.
what I observed, madam, what I then I go to their topic and I search that there is an immense literature review of that. Okay, so what I observe in that, students are always having some reluctant behavior to review the literatures. So my question is how to break this reluctant behavior for the students. Please enlighten me about these things.
Okay. Students are students end of the day. That's why they come up with PhD. So we need to guide them with proper process. We need to tell them this is the process. It's not that we simply want to punish them, go and do readings and all this thing. Tell them this process will give you this impact. And then go slow with them. Some students are fast learners, some students are a little bit slow, and some students want to find the.
I am telling madam, whatever my observation till now, I have
Maybe you can get me to run workshop for them. They will understand better. I can help you in
most of
that.
the students have a reluctant behavior. They don't want to search literature too much. So that it is very very
But
huge requirement
there
to
is so
start.
many other methods we can do rather than doing literature review. So maybe I can conduct workshop to get the student to understand more and then do it more practically. So that solves a lot of problem here.
Is
Okay.
there any methods to motivate this, to break this reluctant behavior among the students?
Motivation should come from inner self. Then only you can see the transformation. Motivation just like stuck for what, 24 hours? So they need to be there for a longer period, minimum 2 to 3 years. So
Mhm.
guidance, scaffolding them throughout the process, because only
It's
after
also a matter of,
Viva they will understand what is the struggle that supervisor goes through with them. So it's all
it's
about
also,
relationship management and guiding them.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's also be a topic of a problem.
Yeah.
It's also a research topic, maybe. This how the students.
Maybe for education, higher education, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want any of my, help to conduct workshop, I'm there to this one. You can contact me in future.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
No worries.
Excuse me,
Thank you, ma'am.
everyone. Just now, one of our colleagues has
Sir,
asked about how to
if
remove
you
the
have any questions,
reluctantness,
you
how to
can.
remove why students are reluctant to do literature review. One of the suggestion I want to put over here is to ignite interest among them. This is a very important factor that will determine how scholars are or how students are in doing literature review. So first and foremost, we have to make them understand the importance of having literature review and to ignite interest among them. Then I guess it will be helpful, and the students will not be reluctant to do literature review in the future. This is my personal observation. If I'm wrong, please do correct me.
Yes, very true. I even shared about that, right? If it's interests you, no one need to force you. You will go and do the readings. So that answered a lot of questions here. Okay, so but it's also, I would say, it also supervisor's duty and responsibility to ensure the student have the right interest in that particular area. What they're doing is it is parallel and relevant. So yeah, that's very important, and connect to the right people, to the gurus of that area, those kind of things. Attending conference, if you're not interested, how come you can attend the conference? Those kind of things.
Okay, whatever I understand that an ignited mind can ignite it to others.
True. Good.
Thank you, Dr. Mageshwari ma'am, for very informative talk.
Thank you.
Dear participants,
I would like to
thank you
I
all.
would like to say a few words here.
We are going to wind up today's session.
Actually, I
Yes.
just have a few
Thank
words
you,
for the
everyone.
present speaker. For the present speaker, I would really appreciate the way, ma'am, you have deliberated upon your topic. It was excellent and it was very insightful for me, particularly. So I really appreciate you, and I express my heartfelt gratitude to you for your knowledge, for sharing your experiences with us. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, all this appreciation, if you can share in a WhatsApp or email, that would be really, really helpful for me. Or in case anything lacking, also let me know. And I personally feel very happy. I feel like it's an honor to share my knowledge with you all. And I'm looking forward to, assist you in any way possible if my help is required. Thank you.